Hello and welcome to Principles of Programming, Study Guide and Labs channel, or Study Guide and Labs series, that is. This time we're going to go through Chapter 1's programs. But before we do, please make sure that you spell everything correctly, pay attention to detail. You're able to run these as many times as you need to, but to save yourself some time, make sure you got punctuation and all that taken care of so you can get through it on the first shot. All right. Also, go ahead and press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment. If you're unable to do that, it means you didn't set up a YouTube channel or YouTube account. That's something that's free and takes less than a minute. But when you do subscribe, you'll be able to see when new videos are posted and some of our older videos. So let's go ahead into the Java, compile and execute a Java program. So when we do this, like I said, we have one for Java, C++, and for Python. So let's go with the instructions. As you can see, the code is here, the instructions. Here's your code to go by. They give you something to start with. All you have to do is modify it so you don't have to start it from scratch. All right. So here we're going to look at task 1, which is modify the program so it displays I'm learning how to program in Java, and then execute the program. Make sure you execute it when you do step 1 first. So here, like I mentioned before, right now the original code says I am, so make sure you change that part to I'm, and then once you do the second part, you can scroll down and see the other buttons. Let's take it one step at a time and do task 1 first. So the easiest way to do that is to go into the code here. Now I'm going to leave the actual comment in there where it says write your code here. I'm going to leave that in there just as a reference point. And we'll get to that, I do believe, later. But let's start by correcting the current code and putting in what's said on the instructions. First thing we're going to do is at the end, type in Java, make sure you got a capital J, and then as I mentioned before, let's look at this and scroll over so you can see the rest of the code, because if that close parenthesis and that semicolon is not there, you're going to get it wrong. So I'll make this a little bit wider for you so you can see that whole part, so you can see the whole code. Alright, there you have it. So now we have I am learning how to program in Java, and here it says I'm learning how to program in Java. So let's switch that I am to I apostrophe M. Make sure you don't leave any spaces, and make sure it looks just like the instructions. And when it does, I like to double check mine. It saves time for you doing it right the first time. Of course, I'll make plenty of mistakes. You will too, but that's okay because it won't count against you when it comes to the points. So let's run it. I'll use different buttons as I do these so you can see all the run buttons. So when you hit it, it goes through its program. It takes a little time. And it has a lot of output at the bottom, but the key thing is where it says I'm learning how to program in Java, and you can see it there between those other information codes or information output. And here you can see task 1 is complete. So once you've ran that and you think it looks good, you can go through and start task 2. So task 2, you're basically going to modify the Java so it prints 2 lines of output. And let me expand that for you so you can see the whole instructions. And okay, add a second output statement that displays that's awesome. Then execute the program. So if you look at that's awesome, you'll see that down at the bottom. This is your display. Now what I like to do is go ahead and highlight the code, the whole line, then Control C, go to the end of the code, tap over, make sure I'm to the end so the semicolon doesn't carry down, hit the enter button, and then Control V to copy it. And there you have it. And so I work within these quotations. I'm just going to highlight that all the way to Yeah, through the period, since we're not going to use that period, we'll use an exclamation point. So let's go ahead and type in "That's awesome." And let's go ahead and hit that exclamation point and be excited about it. So let's check before we do it. We notice that there's a capital T, so let's change that. THAT''S space awesome lowercase, and everything's inside the quotations, and there's our open bracket, close bracket, and our semicolon to end it. So now we can go ahead and run that. And wait for the run, and you see our 2 lines print out. I'm learning how to program in Java. That's awesome. And you scroll down. If you want to calculate your grade to make sure you did it right. So I'm not going to hit the submit on mine. You can hit the submit on yours in case I need to go back through and do more examples, or if I want more practice. But on yours, by submitting it, that's how you get your grade. So you definitely want to do that. All right, so we're waiting for the grade to calculate. Where it says your current grade is, if it's not 100, then you're going to check and make sure you go through and do it again. But we're waiting for it to calculate. And so there it is, it's now 100. Another thing you can check once you do that before you submit it. And if it's giving you 50 or another percent, means that one of the tasks you didn't do or didn't do all the way. But both of those are green, got green check marks. That means they're done correctly and 100% is awarded. And you can take another look at the code if you're still working or you missed something or you're still debugging something not right. All right, so now let's verify that, and let's go ahead to our second one. So that's it in Java. So now we're going to C++. And we're going to compile and execute C++ program. Going to basically do the same thing, but you'll notice that the code is very different. So make sure it's the same thing. Make sure your spelling is correct. And make sure everything is your capitalizations and all that is correct as well, just as you see it in the instructions. So task 1, modify the program so it displays I'm learning how to program in C++. So here I'm learning how to program. So we'll go to the period, and I'm going to go ahead and type inside the period because we're going to use that period. Hit the space after program, and in space capital C plus plus. All right, make sure it's capital, make sure you get a space, and then the period right after. And we do. So we can run that in here. Give you a chance to catch up to it. All right, so let's run that, and we run it, and waiting for our code to run and print out. And now I'm learning how to program in C++. Looks just like the display. So let's go to task 2, and just as we did with the Java, I'm going to copy, select or highlight this area, Control C to copy. Then we're going to hit that space bar, then Control V to paste. Here we're going to highlight within the quotations, don't need that period, and type "That's awesome" while using the capital T. And make sure we got all of our punctuation and everything is set up correctly. All right, there's your inline. It looks good, so let's run it. And there we go. I'm learning how to program in C++. That's awesome. And remember, once you do that, make sure you calculate your grade. But take another look at the code if you do need it. Notice when you highlight over it, you get a lot of information. You can learn more about that by doing it when you did the orientation. Hopefully you already did, so know what's useful or what everything does. So I'm not going to go over that anymore. But just take a look at the code in case you did miss something or it didn't give you the desired output. So let's go down and calculate that grade, make sure that we got 100%. Give you just another look at the code. So we did, and we got 100%, and we got our 2 green check marks. And once again, I'm learning how to program in C++, and that's awesome. Right? So that's how it's done in C++. Now moving on to Python. Now when it comes to Python, a little less code, but seems to be a more challenging language. Here, as you see, write your code here. That's just a comment area. So the only line of code to get it to print out something is print, and use your parentheses with the quotations. Exactly what you want it to print. So task 1, modify the program so it displays I'm learning program in Python, the execute program. So now you got I am learning program in Python. So I'm going to start with the back end, do in Python. Same thing, always check your spacing. And then let's get this, see if they make sure that's one space. Sometimes it looks wider than it is, but it is one space. And so that one, you don't want to use that one to run a debug. Not for this one, it'll give you some extra information without even giving you, without even running the code. But the other run button we'll use instead, this one up top. We've used the one on the side. And I am learning how to program in Python. And it should have put I am learning how to program in Python. So let's go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste it, see if it gives us credit. It shouldn't, but just in case. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but I can kill 10 seconds. So let's hit that Control V, and then get our that's awesome. Don't need that period. And let's do capital T. Awesome. And get excited about it. There we go. All right. Some more information. Let's go ahead and run this code. We'll check the second one first. And we're going to see if we can get it to still get credit for it by not doing exactly the I am. So this newer version on the GitHub might be a little more tolerant than the older simulation. If so, that's a blessing for us. And we did it. Got 100 on there. We got both our green checks. And that is all for chapter 1. We've completed those all those 3 short programs. So, like I said, I hope that if you found this video useful, go ahead and like, subscribe, and leave a comment. When you do, provide feedback, also information for other students. And you can also see by subscribing to the channel other areas, other videos that we have for other courses, and even for this course, similar information. All right. So once again, if you're not able to do that, go ahead and create you a YouTube account. It is free. It takes less than a minute. So until then, thanks again for joining. Have a wonderful day, and hope to see you in the next video. Take care.